Familia, I'm super excited to welcome back Rafael de la Fuente to the show. Rafael, welcome to the Q Agenda in the flesh.
I'm so happy to be here in person. You know, I've been watching you guys grow, and it's so good to be here.
Thank you for coming. So much to talk about because there's so much you've done. There's so much you've done as an actor and in regards to representation. So for those that don't know, can you tell me a little bit about your experience growing up in Venezuela and coming to terms with who you are?
Well, it was definitely a very hard road. You know, I grew up in a very conservative country and in a very conservative community and household, and I didn't really have, I don't think I knew any out gay people. And there was certainly, I mean, I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, and there was not a lot of representation in the media, and if there was, it was just sort of, you know, stereotypes or the butt of the joke or whatever, and so it felt very lonely, you know, it felt very isolating. And so it was definitely, you know, very hard. It was a process that took years, and it went from, you know, feeling very alone and wanting to change and praying to God that I would wake up, you know, a different person and all of that trauma that a lot of us go through, or most of us go through. Hopefully not so much anymore. But, you know, eventually I left Venezuela and I came to the US, and I went to college here, and I started meeting different kinds of people, just in general, culturally, and also, you know, gender identities and sexualities and everything. And I feel like being exposed to different kinds of people started opening my mind. And I remember I had a music theory teacher that was a lesbian, openly gay lesbian woman. And she was married and was just this happy, bubbly person. And I had never had that, you know, I had never been around anyone who was openly gay and like happy and had a family. And, so that was very sort of affirming of my experience. And then I started hanging out with gay people in the performing arts program, and then that was right around the time when YouTube first came out. And that's when people started doing vlogs. And I stumbled into like the gay vlog world or community online on YouTube, and I started seeing people telling their story, their coming out stories, and their and especially B. Scott. Do you know B. Scott?
Yes.
Who I love and a dear friend now, but I remember seeing their joy, you know, in telling their experience, and I remember having a specific moment. I was taking summer classes and having a specific moment where I told myself, which I think is the hardest thing, coming out to yourself, like really, like identifying as gay or whatever you are, that is not, you know, heteronormative, and feeling okay with it. And I remember having that moment, and then from there it was just a process of peeling the layers like an onion, and now here we are.
I think it's so interesting because like, you started young, and then you had the career in, you know, the Hispanic market. You were doing so well. Then you break out into the general market, and you come out on shows with, like, for example, Empire, you know, where you were in an openly gay relationship. What was that for you? Because now that I'm thinking about it, you come from this experience, and now you're in the general market, and it's out, and you're getting this attention. What was that pressure like for you?
Well, it's interesting because I had been out since I was probably 21. I came out to my family and my friends and everything, and I started working in the Spanish-speaking market. Like I got my break when I was around 23, and I was fully open at work and in my life, but I was advised not to talk about it in the media or say anything, which, you know, I thought that was just, I mean, this was 2011, so it was still kind of, you know, a risk to be out then. Certainly better than like, you know, the 90s, but not quite. Like it would limit your career. And I still think it kind of does in a way, even though there's a lot more space for us. But you know, it's still limiting in a way.
In what ways?
Well, you know, I think there's still that stigma that like if you're openly gay, you know, the audience won't be able to believe you're a straight character or whatever, which I think is silly and a double standard, because if you have straight actors playing gay, why?
Right.
But anyway, that's a whole other can of worms. Where was I?
No, with your experience, and then all of a sudden you're exposed, particularly because it was a gay relationship, an empire.
Yeah. So I started working in the Spanish-speaking world, and I was advised not to come out. So I was like out in my life, and everyone at work knew, but I didn't talk about it in the media. And then, you know, and then that I came to Hollywood, and I started getting work, and then I got Empire, and it was still sort of like the same thing where like everyone knew, but I didn't really talk about it, but it was what I thought obvious. And then, you know, the Empire was such a massively impactful show, like it was huge. And I think we were one of the like first like interracial, non-white, like couples to kiss in
national television.
On national television, like prime time or whatever, something crazy like that. Someone told me, and then I started getting a ton of like DMs and comments and stuff about how much it meant to people, and it just sort of like liberated me and empowered me, and then I just like fully came out, even though I was out in my life, but I started being more vocal about myself and my experience and things that I care about. And it's been the best decision in my life, because I sort of feel like in a way I've become the person that I needed when I was younger. And just to give you an example, like for me, something that liberated me in a way, and that like gave me permission to sort of feel free to be myself, was when Ricky Martin came out. Like when he came out and had that Oprah interview, and I read his book and everything, that was so empowering to me, that, you know, I just went back to that, and I was like, well, this was such an important moment for me. I should live my life that way. So yeah.